We're going to be playing DCI, Last Alliance, as the Numenorean kingdoms, and reforge them in 3rd Age Vanilla. So we have 2,442. They only have 400. So let's fight this one, 4-star commander, and I'll be able to show you guys off the units. And the wildmen start raiding, and the men of the mountain betray us towards Isengard and Arnor. We could be in a difficult position. So they just seem to be running away here. I'm not entirely sure what's happening, so we'll just try and skirmish them out as best we can. The King's archers are getting some good shots off there. Oh, they look so cool. Really invoking that first battle in the Fellowship of the Rings. Bring them down, lads! Okay. And if you guys want to see more 3rd Age on the channel, some more of this DCI Last Alliance submod, support the video and I'll do more. But let me know in the comments feedback and suggestions. I plan to do about 10 or so episodes of this series, and we should be able to hit those objectives. I went with a short campaign because I don't want to be holed. Like, I looked at a long camp. Like I said, I essentially want to do a long campaign, but I didn't like the specific victory conditions and settlements. But by the time we hit my main objectives of destroying Mordor, the Wildmen, the Hillmen, and potentially the Men of the Misty Mountains, and build Arnor and Gondor into glorious kingdoms, worthy of Elendil's heirs, as it were, we can end it there comfortably. But you never know, we've got some dwarves near us as well. I don't particularly want to defeat sort of good factions, but yeah, you never know as well. We do border Harad in the south and Hrun. There's no real reason why we couldn't deal with them, so we're just trying to skirmish them out where we can, and they're trying to trade with us back. The quicker we can get rid of this Mordor bodyguard and the infantry, the better. So we're quite close to them, and we're just trading. I've moved my horse archers on the flanks, ready to initiate hammer and anvil strikes when need be. They're not doing too bad, but 81, that's now rocketing down. Only 20 or so for there, 90. They're not doing too bad, but they could be performing a lot better.
Half the enemy force remains.
Okay, we can pull them back now. Okay, so they actually closed the distance quite quickly on me. I was curious to see how the skirmish mode will work there, so maybe I need to be a little bit more, let's say, Johnny on the spot with those rotational movements. So we'll allow our archers to do most of the work, the heavy lifting, and we'll stand in a defensive position for now, just soaking up arrow fire. We'll have the general's bodyguard to deal with that as well. Let's throw down some leadership buffs. Alright, let's swing my cavalry up and further around. So the general's bodyguard, out of all the units to pick and attack, they hit the dome wardens. And now they're starting to rout, which is fantastic. Yeah, I want my archers to not fire against them, because you're going to cause more friendly fire than what it's worth. Focus on the archers. We might even get some spearmen to sort of pivot around against them. Actually, what I'll do, I'll get my yeah, there we go. Get the cavalry to run down the archers. We'll get a couple shots off because they're a little bit further away. They don't even need to kill the archers, they just need to disrupt them. Okay, now they're interlocking with the wardens. We'll swing around with some Gondor spearmen and hit them from the rear. But I'm quite impressed about their bodyguard. They're doing quite well. But to be honest, stat-wise, they're more than likely on par to our Numenorean warriors. Okay, well, let's try and run down as many of these orky boys as we can. Realistically, this would have been a clean cut order resolve. However, I don't mind playing this battle just to start me off. It's been quite some time, probably 6 months or so, since I've played the Third Age mod, but I'm excited to be back in it. I haven't actually tested out the new Divide and Conquer update either. I believe it's version 4.5, so we could probably, maybe after this campaign, have a look towards that. It's been quite a while since I've done an evil faction, so maybe we should play as Harad or Rune, or I was thinking more or less Isengard. But it just depends on your guys' feedback and general suggestions. So we lost 82 in that fight. Let's fight this one on the battlefield. Now, unfortunately, I've had to mute the music on this mod because copyrighted music. Warner Brothers and whoever owns the Lord of the Rings, ODST, and various stuff just claim stuff ridiculously. So I'm going to have to do my own sound score in the editing process. So I'm not going to hear any Lord of the Rings music. I'm just going to have to sort of imagine it, I guess. But in the editing process for this series, I'm sure you would have noticed in previous Third Age campaigns, I essentially have to do my own sound score from various Total Wars and stuff and edit it. Just thought I'd let you guys know. And be honest than anything. Right, so that's good. So now that's gone up. We just want to drop that ram. I don't know what's bugging out there, but it looks so weird. Okay, so now that the gate's down, do they seem to be counter-charging us through the breach? No. That's okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll... Yeah, good. We can actually find a space there. So form up. We'll move my archers up as well. And we'll invoke a shield wall. Okay. So we've got two options here. We can potentially arc our shot. I actually don't know. We might be able to arc our shot up and over the Minas Ithil walls. If not, the gateway might be large enough to get an angle. Because then we're only using one swordsman, and we can keep the rest of our infantry comfortably, safe, and secure in reserve. Now, depending on where they sit, yeah, we might be able to get an angle here. Okay, so we are trying to get an angle of them. I don't know why we were started off with a flammable ammunition. Oh, here they go. So they've actually centered themselves better. And now with the orcs of Mordor engaging the king's heavy infantry in a shield wall formation, they've actually opened themselves up a little bit better. But it seems to be bugging out more so than anything. Yeah. Oh, the gateway is now ours. Fortunately enough for me, there isn't arrow towers galore in this siege. So our swordsman should be able to make quick work of the orc warband and carve through the Mordor scourge like carving a cake. Allow my archers as well to try and get some firepower support. Reduce the hit points of our men as best we can. So we're in a shield wall formation. We've only lost 8 of our men. I'm curious to see the casualties sustained and what's going to be inflicted in this. Because they had the general unit, of course, but they also had a lot of spearmen. Oh! So we've lost 1%. And we've killed 20. Wow, that's a little bit deceiving. Those archers are doing tremendously well. So we'll send up one unit at a time and allow my archers to once again try and carry and do most of the heavy lifting. Skirmishers and heavy cavalry. We are getting a little bit of friendly fire from behind. Oh, they're actually firing their own arch. I was like, why is there fire still going on? There's actually, I'm assuming, enemy fire coming in from them. Come on, can you come up a little bit further, please? Like, we were doing better a little bit before. I might need to send up some more reinforcements. If we can somehow, like, maybe move to the right, that'll be right. But we seem to be getting decent morale debuffs from them. Shaken and whatnot. They seem to be hitting a lot of their own troops than anything. Still 75% within our favour. But we're making the King's heavy infantry earn their worth. So let's just try and move up some of the heavies now, because they are a second tier chevron, but they're losing a little bit too many men for my liking. So let's try and reform and move everyone in. But the siege of Minas Morgul usually is a little bit grindy. Oh, they're actually in a full retreat now. Good. But cost effectiveness, we've done quite well there. With one unit and archers in support. So there's a little bit of an angle there. Yeah, so they can't. So unfortunately they can't seem to arc their shots up and over the walls, which is a bit of a shame. They only can fire them direct on. Whoa! I didn't mean to do that. I forgot that camera angle shoots all the way up. But they seem to do it. Yeah. Because that's a hell of a shot. Since when were these orcs master archers? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe going like over here, forming up might be a little bit better. But I've sounded the charge. All the infantry available to King Enedwaith is now going to march and go in. For the liberation of Minas Ithil. For Númenor. For High King Elendil. Yeah, so for now, I think our greatest adversary is Mordor. So, at the moment, I'm not going to have like a clear economical construction and recruitment split between Arnor and Gondor. I'm very much going to focus on Gondor to try and get rid of the Dark Lord as quickly as possible before he gains territory, renowned, decent quality armies, and higher tier recruitment capacity. For all intensive purposes, I'm going to rush Mordor, because that's the play, especially on this difficulty. Some people don't like that, but hey, whatever. To each their own. Okay, so we'll give out some individual attack orders, and we'll allow my archers to move in as well. But I'm curious to see, yeah, how this campaign goes once we get 50 to 100 turns in. Because normally I don't particularly like playing with a faction that's so divided like this. Because you essentially play with 3 zones. You've got Gondor, which you're focusing on Mordor, which if we purely focus on, we'll be fine. We don't get distracted by... Yeah, they've got the like the elves hanging out in the forest of Gondor. I think they're elves of Lothlorien as well. Maybe I should send a diplomat there instead of sending one all the way to Galadriel. Yeah. So we've lost 6% of their 50. So we've done it half of the army before the initial infantry charge. We've only got 1 man left in that King's heavy infantry unit. And some of them are getting their shots now up and over the top. Yeah, it must be a rangefinder or something. Maybe the general unit's only perhaps doing it. But fierce fighting is making its way in the Minas Ithil town square. Orcs and the brave men of Númenor are battling it out. Yeah. So I think sort of our main adversary is probably going to be Sauron. Yeah, so I guess Nazguls aren't a part of this time period just yet. It's mostly going to be fierce, orcish warriors. Maybe, I don't know. This is my first time playing The Last Alliance, so... It is technically a blind Let's Play. I'm sure there'll be a whole host of surprises. Alright, sweet. Slowly but surely progressing into the town square. We've only just hit 50% of our timer now. I've made the decision to do that. You've got to. Especially when recording for YouTube. Medieval 2, sometimes the battles... sometimes the battles glitch on the vanilla campaign experience. Let alone Third Age. I think probably one of the main reasons that I put the timer on for all medieval campaigns from now on is I think it was because of vanilla Third Age. I have a distinct memory now saying this, that I was trying to take Mordor. Not Mordor, it must have been, yeah, Moria. It must have been one of the various goblin outcropping settlements, as it were, and, well, you can kind of guess, my infantry fell through the earth in one of those custom battles, and I ended up losing because of it, which is a shame, but that's why you need to be able to have the timer there and such. Because even if the enemy, yeah, the enemy can sort of cheese it as well. Their units can fall through the earth. It was an absolute clustercluck. Alright. So we're slowly but surely taking the town square. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's definitely the play to allow the archers to reduce most of the hit points. But, yeah. I even thought some of the... I'm just doing like a quick comparison. I think the Gondor army in Dak, Divide and Conquer, probably performed a little bit better. But maybe I'm being a little bit harsh on the first lower to mid-tier units for Arnor. Or Numenor, rather, just yet. I guess Arnor was a little bit of a Freudian slip, because I think or not all, but some of these units you could have had access to when you forge Arnor in the vanilla base campaign. What is that? Is it free people? Yeah, it's free people with Eriador, isn't it? That's what you start off as, towards the Bree and Shire and Weathertop region. I did do an Arnor campaign a long time ago. A long time ago. I do have a lot of Third Age campaigns on the channel. Gondor and Rohan I've done within the last year or so. So I do recommend them, but maybe the older ones, potentially not. The older you go back on the channel, the squeakier my voice gets. And the poorer the quality of content, in my opinion. So we'll try and get some of these spearmen here now to potentially wrap around to invoke the morale surrounding mechanic. Yeah, some of them seem to be holding on, but it keeps them going back and forth to shaken and routing. Yeah, they seem to be holding off here quite well. Those orc cleavers I'm struggling to break down, and my archers, even though I commanded them to get into that pocket, they're struggling to get their shots off and find some space. So we started off well, but we've had to make our infantry absolute work for their wages. So let's drop a couple inspires and rallies. 95%. 30, yeah, 30%. Alright, maybe halt now, because they're causing more friendly fire than what it's worth. So we've got the infantry and the general's bodyguard now pushing in. Let's continue on. Enemy general fallen. Lagthak. And we've initiated the countdown. 3 minutes remaining. Good. Now the Numenorean guards are working. Hey! We are outnumbered by about 900. Oh, I think they spawned in because we took... Yeah. Please do take into consideration that this is a blind let's play. There's going to be hiccups. It's going to be misplays. So 13% we lost trying to take down one. We still didn't even do it. They're quite close to us here now. Just get back inside. Let's hope the gate doesn't bug. That's the last thing we need. Run inside, men. Flee! Flee for your lives! Yeah, but as you can see here, the arrow towers are starting to engage them and rip through them a bit. So they're going to slowly move away. I'm really surprised about that. Maybe it was the horse archers? Because the actual proper archers haven't even done too much. That's crazy, man. That's crack. Let's move up here and try again. Yeah, so we're attacking them, so technically it either ends in a draw or a loss, I guess. I love how they're running all the way back. Alright, let's reform and go again. The gate does seem to be open though, which is crack up. Alright. It's time to sound the charge. Will allow my infantry to move out. Now, normally you usually have to go like 4 ranks of infantry, then invert the flanks and the infantry wings sort of within the settlement. But looking at, just luckily, how the fortress here protrudes inwards. Oh, come on. What are you doing? You got skirmish mode on, and I told you to attack orcs. Why did you even engage that? Do I really need to look there? Oh my god. It's been so long since I played Medieval 2 and 3rd Age. I'm so used to being able to be a little bit absent in 3rd Age and... Sorry, Total War Attila in Rome 2. Yeah, because if they were on skirmish mode, they would have just run back. Which they are. I'm expecting too much of them. Okay, so... We'll go with shield wall, and whoever can go with their abilities will invoke those. Right, so that's a shame. So we've lost probably 2 units, maybe even 3 units of archers. So what I'll do is we'll allow the infantry to hold. We'll put the cavalry on the left to try and wrap around and disrupt the skirmishers. And once the archers get back, we'll deploy them safely on the walls. So now they're charging us head on. They have had their hit points reduced. How well would the mountain trolls fare against infantry? That's what I want to know here now. Or maybe it's more paper, rock, scissors, and like the spearmen are going to rip them to absolute shreds. We will have arrow tower support from the towers as well. Alright, so what are we looking at now? 10. Yeah. So maybe trolls are sort of impenetrable to archer fire. Which I didn't know. No. Oh well. You live and learn. Yeah, they're nearly destroyed here. Or maybe they're so weak that the infantry just whacked them towards the end. Still 50-50. Okay. So I still think this is the best strategy to go for. Apart from a couple of those misplays. So we technically probably could have focused on the... Hang on, move the cavalry up here. We probably could have focused on... Let's hold that. We probably could have focused on the infantry a bit more. Right, let's just cycle charge with my cavalry where we can. Just to disrupt them. Okay, they're trying to screen and protect and shepherd that archer unit. So we'll try to go with the charge. The arrow towers are what is going to carry us in this. So, archers at the back. The missile cav should be able to get a decent charge off at least. Just to stop them firing upon us. Get up onto the walls, archers. Quickly now. I did give the order to arc your shot over the walls, but you're not performing as well as I would have liked. They're still firing here. Oh, now my cavalry's retreating. Yeah. I think I am massively underestimating how good these units are. Because they are shredding us. I'm underestimating Mordor's army. And overestimating our ability. Get up to the walls, come on! I've given out the order, I shouldn't have to give it out again. Right, so that's 5 of these pockets up on the gateway. There you go. This is what we want. We want to be firing down into it with impunity, as they can't get up on the walls. It was worth the risk to sally out, because we've still got a lot of our archers still left. And we've dragged them in. 39% to 30. There's only a 900 manpower swing their favour. But this is make or break. If we lose this battle here today, King Enedwaith, his sons, being his sons-in-law and his actual son, we've got to protect. Push for it, lads. We've just got to throw everyone in. And hope for the best. Let's throw down special abilities and leadership ones as well where we can. These archers at the back are doing tremendously well. So, once you guys play your Númenor campaign, a little bit. Oh no! A warrior's end, Thengel. Who's Thengel? Hopefully that's not an Aryan's son. Oh no. Have we just cut off the descent? Like, have we just cut off one of the future royal houses of Gondor? I don't think so. Because isn't, like, Boromir and Faramir related to the steward line? So technically, even if King Enedwaith dies, the stewards still live on, maybe? I don't know. Because it was the House of Isildur to take back Gondor from the stewards. Because didn't the line of Enedwaith, the House of Enedwaith die out? That's why the stewards and Boromir were there in the first place. But you never know. There's always female lines and small mingling and stuff throughout royal families. Europe is a great example of that.
The enemy are badly bloodied.
So this is turning into an absolute mess, this fight. So we've lost one of our generals, which is fine, I guess. We've still got 3 more. But you've got to give it to Mordor. They have had a tremendous battle against me. Yeah, so in hindsight, to reflect on this, we probably should have not overextended. But usually in Third Age and in Medieval 2, aggressiveness, tenacious, high-octane attacks reward the human player. We probably should have convalesced, replenished and repaired in Minas Morgul. But in saying that, because they don't have arrow towers, this is probably... Cirith Ungol is probably actually a more defendable settlement. Because those arrow towers, you guys will know, are machine guns. They absolutely carry you in this. Let's reform this a bit here. So they're retreating, but we just need our archers to give down some support. We don't want to overextend and get hit on the sides. So now it's going back into 70% in our favour. We will have victory. We have more reinforcements to bring up, but crikey. This is what I like to call a flashpoint, where campaigns can be won and lost. If we lost this battle, I don't know what I would have done. I guess it would have just been the House of Arnor series and Isildur. Because essentially we're playing as 2 factions, region-wise. We've got the Arnor rebuild and the Gondor rebuild going on. I will try and focus on the Arnor spot, but it's taken us a little bit of time to essentially move throughout the topography of Bree and whatever that land is up there. Dunland, is it? I don't know, I can't remember exactly. Hey, victory! Let's try and run down the remaining stragglers. Controlling and commanding the Arnor forces. Maybe Rune or Isengard is probably the play. Because this series will end in the not too soon future. So, get your suggestions in, so I can plan ahead, be organised. Yeah. I don't know, looking at this mod, I don't know if I really find any of the wildmen or the mountain men or the hillmen that appealing to play as. Compared to the Numenoreans, man, they're awesome. The armour, the aesthetic, the story being the exiled kingdoms. Yeah, because, yeah, if I was to, maybe you play as the elves, because I think they've got some pretty cool underway mechanics, especially those of Lothlorien and the Woodland Realm. Linden maybe as well. Going down to help out the Numenorean kingdoms against Mordor. The dwarves are split into a couple of like main factions as well, so that might be quite cool. Okay, so we got Marines, Peltasts there pushing up, or Javelinmen, so just make sure they draw their short swords. To do that, if you're curious, is just Shift Alt Attack. So we'll allow my infantry to claim the gateway and hit some of the skirmishers that have now come up to claim the walls. So once we eliminate these infantry units defending the palisades and the walls, I'll move my archers up, as we do have skirmisher supremacy. Quality wise, we've got a couple of our own heavy decent swordsmen, but so do our adversaries. Let's pull up here. There we go. Yeah, but it's kind of cool, the starting locations for Numenor. I'm essentially playing and controlling two factions. So we've got the Mordor front and then the Wildman front. But what I really want to do for this series is to forge a strong and everlasting, united Numenorean kingdom. That if Sauron ever was to come back on this earth, he would be fighting a one united man of the West. What's the bigger number? 5 or 1? 5. 1. One army bred for one purpose. Oh, I pissed myself. Oh, God. Robert Baratheon, Mark Addy. I miss him so much. He was such a great Friar Tuck. And Robert Baratheon. Oh, man, oh, man. I don't know how they messed up that show so much. Oh, what I feel bad for mostly is that YouTube. I'm sure you guys, if you guys have any interest in Game of Thrones, that Alt-Shift-X, guys, I kind of feel sorry for him because he spent so much time animating those lore videos, and it turned out that really nobody was up, because he had like, what's up with Quaithe? Nothing happened. How will Cersei die? Doesn't matter. Who was Azor Ahai? Doesn't matter. Will Tyrion lose his tongue? Who was Tormund's secret lover? Doesn't matter. What was Littlefinger up to? Doesn't matter. Oh, what's up with Jack and Hagar? Doesn't matter. Didn't do anything. Man, oh man, I'm so bitter about Game of Thrones. Thank God I wasn't the type of person to get tattoos or spend crazy amount of merchandise, because I would be so infuriated. Like, oh. Like, as well, like, I don't rely on it due to my income as well, because some game companies just, like, destroy franchises. And yeah, or just like if you're just around something, oh, I'd just be so upset. The thing is with Game of Thrones as well, like Game of Thrones was my jam. I loved it. Out of all my friends, I was the first one onto it, and I just loved it from the get-go. But man, oh man. I remember that, like, I watched the first season as it was coming out, and then I was like, oh my god. Watching that finale, I was like, I've got to know what happens. And I read all the books that were available at the time. Yeah, so I don't think Winds of Winter was out. From what I can remember, the book before the TV show came back was Feast for Crows, I think. But yeah, if you like Game of Thrones, I can't recommend the books enough. But you never know, he's probably never going to finish it anyway. There's my rant about Game of Thrones. Right, so my archers are just trying to skirmish the wildmen out here. We'll send our infantry just to help out, because they seem to be struggling a bit. So we have King Isildur, his son, and 2 randomly generated generals. To be perfectly honest, I have no hope for the prequels. But you never know, if there's a tight, cohesive story, it might be good. But sequels and spin-offs I rarely like. I did like that Breaking Bad movie though. I didn't mind that. Favorite TV show? I still think it's Game of Thrones. It's like basically after season... it's like up... honestly, I think it went downhill from like season 3. Whenever the Red Wedding happened. But... it's like the first 3 seasons up until the Red Wedding, all of it great, enjoyed it a lot, and then basically on after you sort of pick and choose. The Stannis like battle beyond the wall was kind of cool. The Battle of the Bastards was great, but apart from that, man, I don't think it was very. It's just like whatever. Like people are like, but what about Hard Home? Well, that didn't bloody matter anyway. Anyway, I'm sick of talking about Game of Thrones. %24% of their 65. My archers are nearly out of their ammunition. And we're slowly but surely pushing up and battling it out. We'll need to drop some inspires and leaderships and stuff where I can soon. Darbar swordsmen, heavy infantry. They look a little bit freaky, kinda funky, but stats wise they do massively perform. Man, oh man, fierce fighting is breaking out here. They keep on wavering back and forth. This battle is all over. We've done the hard yards. It's just finishing off the last of them. Some of them have some ammunition here, so try and spray that further around. Away from our infantry trying to push up. They're now breaking and routing again. Okay. So the infantry is still pushing up. The archer generals only seem to have the last lot of ammunition. Oh, I've got my horsemen here as well. I forgot about them. There's a fair amount of ammunition, so they can come in and help. Drop an Inspire. Lord of Númenórean, increased combat effectiveness. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So why wouldn't Isildur have that? I guess because he's the general leader, he just gets a general buff. While his son, Elendor, I think that's his firstborn son. Just has no one. Come on! Give up! You know defeat seems certain. Only a military genius can pull this one out of the bag. No, it's about 95% in our favour. Slowly but surely. Come on. Just these last of these spearmen that are really holding off. I was listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was making breakfast this morning. I forgot how good their music was. Californication. Ugh. Oh, what? A warrior's end. King Isildur is dead. Oh, you've got to be killing me, man. Damn you, Red Hot Chili Peppers. What? Dude, he's got 57 men in his retainer. 60 in the other and 54. I don't believe this. Oh my god. We were doing so well in this fight. We were just like finishing them off. Why was he attacking from the front? I knew I gave the order for everyone to push up. Man, that's some RNG. That's so infuriating. We've got his son there as well. They did sort of flee. Actually, they're fleeing back because they lost him. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. And Isildur's corruption killed him. Died in a river. Getting shot in the back. Well, I guess he's died to a bunch of wildmen in this alternative timeline. Oh. Oh no, that probably like... Imagine if he died before that. It just changes the entire Lord of the Rings timeline, that. Oh, that's so infuriating because Elendil hasn't died yet. Oh, so I'm curious to see how the line of succession works. Oh, we got the enemy general. I was like, crikey, man, if we lost him. Because the way the Numenorean kingdoms is split up, there's the High King, of course, of the Numenoreans in exile, but then it's broken up into the Kingdom of Arnor and Gondor, which you control. Isildur was the King of Arnor, and that's where Aragorn could claim sort of the Numenorean line there. Oh, so, yeah, because you have... It's kind of weird, because I've never actually seen two heirs in a tree before. Wow. So, Isildur never takes up his father's sword. Does Aragorn even become Aragorn? It's kind of realistic because he did die. Well, I guess they all die. But, yeah. Wow, okay. I don't believe that. Maybe that's written for him to be a little bit weak. I don't know. But we just went and killed Isildur in episode 3. You've got to be kidding me, man. King Elendor. So he's going to be pushing south here against them. It's going to be a good fight. So let's fight this one. The High King's actually taking... So once they push up, we might be able to... We still can't attack them there, but we can push up. Yeah, there we go. Hit that. Counter-charge them. Once we interlock with them... My skirmishers are going to be able to do their job, and we might be able to flank where we can. We just need to buy time for our reinforcements to come on. We have about, what, 5 to 6k? We outnumber them 2 to 1. But they could very well have quality over quantity, I guess. So, try and make your way... Hang on, why are my archers up there? My spearmen are flanked, but they haven't got stuck into them. So King Elendor and the brave men trying to forge Arnor. Well, I never said it was going to be easy. Forging a grand Numenorean kingdom. Uniting Middle-earth under one huge army to defend it. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised how well they're performing, the Hillmen. Yeah, so we've got heavy infantry and reinforcements coming. So it's 11 to 13, so we have the slight percentile on them. Yeah. So just try and flank, surround where you can and win this day. But my spearmen are really not holding up to this one. It's because we're mostly fighting swordsmen. Completely understandable, and we don't have as many archers in this. The High King has the better quality of the two. Right, so they're still dealing with that. That is fine. So once we finish up with the Wildmen, which they seem to be holding out, they seem to be holding like at least a full stack in every single settlement. They're moving up, I need to deal with that. So it might take a little bit longer, but we've still got the Hillmen of the North to deal with. Up towards Angmar, you could say. So I think naturally we'll try and focus off the Wildmen, and then we push up towards the north. So Arnor should probably go north. Gondor, once we defeat Mordor, should probably flank around to the Gap of Rohan. And then we'll be able to wrap things up. But I'm not opposed to doing more Third Age on the channel. Pull those skirmishes back. Man, oh man, my spearmen have been put absolutely through the ringer in this one. The skirmish, the javelin need to be pushed back here. 26% to their 29. Yeah, I don't really see a connection to maybe playing as the Wild or the Hillman. If I was to play more in this mod, I'd probably either play as an Elvish faction or a Dwarf. Or they're called, what are those men of Dale? Rovani or Rove? The purple ones, I can't remember what they're called. I haven't played as them before. I usually play as only factions that appear in the movies. So I'm a bit like that. Or maybe we could just go to Divide and Conquer. Isengard and Rune. It's probably the play. Ah, the enemy general's fallen. Manathor. Good. We got the RNG of that. I still can't believe we knocked off a seal door and there was all those scripts for it. So cool. So my reinforcements are finally here now though. We've traded well with them. And they are severely weakened. So we'll just try and slowly but surely now pick off where you can. Get my skirmishers to focus their firepower where they can. Seems to be a decent amount of cavalry running ragged. I've got them on attack rather than defensive or shootout stance. Okay, what's happening over here? Those skirmishers did well. The main army that we did attack, with the cavalry engaged, they dragged and harassed and split that first army, more or less distracting them. While the main host hit me in the rear, so we weren't even able to use our high ground advantage, which is a shame. That's kind of cool. There's like a general unit protected, shielded by cavalry in a circle formation. Come on, let's finish them off. We've got them on the ropes here now. They're incredibly on the back foot. And another Wildman settlement we brought into the Numenorean fold. But we still do have unit routes, man. Every time I see that, I just panic. If we lost King Elendil, I'm gonna have to really protect him and be quite passive with my generals. I thought I could kind of throw my... Like, I want my generals to earn their work. You know what I mean? I like to chuck them in, but I don't know why they're so... Man, oh man, these units routing are scaring me. Oh, enemy general fallen. Good. Yeah, that should be it now. 41 to their 58. They are now mostly in a full retreat. Especially in like vanilla medieval too, and maybe because they're not cavalry units. I don't know. There we go. So we got them all. Yeah, generals just seem to be very lightweight in this submod for whatever reason. But we still have some elves and dwarves on the periphery. That's what I was going to say. We've got dwarves sort of to the northwest of us in Arnor, so we could deal with them. And also, there are elves of... What are they? They're not the Woodland realm. What are they? Lothlorien, that's it. That occupy a settlement just north of what would be... I highly recommend you do. We had a decent field battle against the Wildmen, but over towards the seared, or... I imagine it's like seared or embroidered on their shields. Push further back for protection. We don't want them to get too close. And we'll allow the generals to sit back and be a little bit passive. Because I have, even in this short series, I've managed to kill a couple of major generals. Usually in like Rome 2, Attila, even some medieval series, I can go in a full series without getting anyone knocked off. In this one, we've had two in quite succession. We managed to get rid of King Anarian's son-in-law Thengol, and then we got Isildur killed. Which, I'm kind of happy because it came up with some really cool role-playing and script consequences, and showed you guys what's sort of possible with this mod. But in saying that, Isildur's gone. We got him knocked off. Okay, so they've actually pulled back there. Gateway lost this one. Yeah. As soon as our infantry postured up, yeah, try and reform that. Our archers are still getting some shots off, but them going back and forth seems to be working well. If we can hit them in the sides, hit them in the rear, where their armor is weaker, the better. It's the cavalry that don't seem to have the distance for some reason. Yeah, just try and focus on that. But it's absolutely pouring down in Mordor. And we're just trying to focus and phase out those battalions. Just speeding things up here now. Also, guys, please do take into consideration, this is my first time playing the Last Alliance mods. There's going to be hiccups, there's going to be misplays and such, but so far I've been really enjoying my time playing it. I can't recommend it enough. I'll put in the description below if you'd like to download and play along with me. They seem to be charging here now, though. Pull the cavalry further back. They've spent their ammunition. Crikey, there's a train going past my house. My apologies. Nothing like world-shattering immersion breaking. The men of Numenor are fighting in the steps of the Black Gate against the orcs of Mordor. Will King Anarian survive? Beep beep! Welcome back to civilization. This is Mr. Train. Hello. You think... I've been doing YouTube for so long now, you'd think I'd write down the train times near my house. Yep, shot off. If you were playing like Empire or something in the Industrial Revolution, it might have been role-playing a little bit, I guess. Alright, so they've engaged my front line now because they probably think they can inflict more damage against us. My skirmishers are nearly out of their ammunition. Actually, what I could do, if they interlock and interweb and sort of stay there against my infantry, I could actually flank my general unit around. I might even be able to get the town square. Because we outnumber them so much. Yeah, maybe we should try and do that. Like, will they be able to wrap up and around? Like, there's no one in the town square. Yeah, we'll try and pivot to the right. You've got to watch out for those spikes, because there's actually spike traps here. Yeah, so if you can deploy... It's just the pathfinding that might screw them over. Right, so push this way. Try and angle yourself there. Yep, now you're on the home stretch. Go, 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 go. Because it's really a win-win situation. Because if we can initiate the countdown, that's perfect. But it's also... They seem to be reacting to it super quickly, and they're actually moving out of their position. So we're flanked here now. Come on. Let's go for it, lads. Brave Knights of Numenor. And we've initiated the countdown. 5 minutes instead of 3. I don't think we're going to be able to hold it. We've lost 8% of their 42. But confusion, disorganization, and unit cohesion seems to be pushing them back and forth. Because even if they... Look, we only have to hold it for 4 minutes, which you surely think that we wouldn't be able to hold. But even if they do turn away, which they seem to be doing back and forth a bit, it's going to open their backs to arrow fire. Yeah, now they're going back. Yeah, they're all going back. Oh, it's just back and forth. Continue to drop special abilities where we can. They're getting a little bit close. Oh, they're retreating. But then the countdown gets reset. Oh.
We've lost control of
Oh, yeah, so they instantly come back. Yeah, that's a shame. We'll pull out here. Pull back. There we go. Okay, that seemed to work. Yeah, just watch out for those spikes. That's what I was talking about. Because I remember there was a lot of them towards the front. My archers are nearly out of ammunition, so we're going to have to push. Hurry. Get some high octane and ferocious attacks in. But my archers have done tremendously well in this battle thus far. You got to pat them on the back. Maybe we try and surround them. Yeah, so now they're actually protecting the town square. Well, once we push in, we might be able to cycle charge with the cavalry, but we'll just have to see. So we'll throw everyone in there. And now we go for the town square. I've just got to pray and hope to the gods and the angels that we've got enough to finish them off. Okay, that's done. Sweet. Yeah, so they're not pushing up against those cavalry units. I just need to reform the archers in there. So we'll sort of split the attacks up. Make sure all my swordsmen are dealing damage on 4 individual units. And once they sort of turn around, we might be able to get a decent charge here, but the rocky and jagged topography of Mordor doesn't seem to be conducive to cavalry charge, but we'll see. The Black Gate looming in the distance, the Numenoreans charge against the Mordor bodyguard. Somehow we've captured the gateway. Let's pull back and cycle charge again. I did sort of hold my breath there a little bit because I might have lost the general. So we're in the town square now. Yeah, try and surround them as best we can, because that's what's going to get them. Because we're still fighting with tier 1 bog tier, just absolute trash tier Numenoreans. Now go again for a second time. Charge in. Sweet. Okay, cool beans. Cool beans. Is it still cool to say cool beans unironically? God, that's a good movie. Those early Andy Samberg movies are just ridiculous. Just those like stoner pop movies. I used to watch so many of those back in the day. Just reminds me of my teenage years more than anything. I catch myself saying it. just not even thinking about it. Yeah, cool beans. Cool beans. Alright. Come on. I don't know what's going on. Have they fallen through the earth? No, it just seems to be one that's like hanging out here. No. Only 2 minutes remaining anyway before we got them. Yeah, it's like one bodyguard unit there that's holding out. Before the Black Gate is ours. And then we'll have to sort of be cool, calm and collective, burn a couple of turns, replenish and repair before we can march on Mordor itself. There must be a general unit or something. Yeah, it was.
One here today.
Yeah, guys, why are their generals so tough? Why are mine like strawmen? Whoa! So basically, we're going to be able to forge a grand kingdom of Númenor and to secure the men of the West for the next 1,000 years. You ought to know they are the apple of... Why is this stuttering now? Nope, I think we're good. We're back online. Ensign, are we working? Yeah, so the wildmen here are pushing towards our front. Yeah, so realistically, we could have wrapped things up a little bit earlier if we only solely focused on the Hillmen of the North and Mordor. But I didn't know how hard this campaign was going to be, because it's been quite a long time since I've played DCI Last Alliance and essentially vanilla Third Age Total War. So my reinforcements are actually heading from behind, and it looks like they've managed to divert some of their military forces away from mine. Dunlendings is going to push in, and they're even sending some chieftain heavy infantry there. And they're going to meet our reinforcements, which look like to be in a checkered board formation. Skirmishers are the ones that are first going to intercept them. I thought they might get a quick volley off, but not. So we're going to engage their heavies, we're going to engage their heavy guard, and yeah, we're still holding quite comfortably and competently on the front line. My cavalry here now is out of ammunition, so we'll try and get these bad boys in to cycle charge. Okay, so we've got a second rung here that can probably move up, as yeah, they can even flank in some areas there where they haven't interlocked into. But yeah, I think a better strategy is combining our territory all the way up. But once we finish off and conquer these men, because some of them eventually became the Rohirrim and the Dunlendings and stuff, we should be able to throw back any evil. Could you imagine like a united Numenorean kingdoms? Although, like, Arnor ended up splitting off into its own stuff. Imagine the Númenóreans controlling the Gap of Rohan. Kind of a cool alternative history. But I heard some interesting news about that Lord of the Rings TV show. I still think it's rumoured to be regarding the events of Númenor. They want it to be the next Game of Thrones, supposedly. It's meant to be 20 to 25 episodes a season or something crazy. These are all rumours and speculation, of course. And it was meant to be wrapped up, the first season, by... I think it was meant to be September next year, but now, due to all the current delays in real life, it's going to take a little bit longer. I think they lost their head writer as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can pull it off. But if I have any faith in Amazon stuff, I nearly have more faith in that than HBO stuff. Like, honestly. Like, recently, the last few seasons of Game of Thrones were trash. Westworld Season 1 was good, but then that turned to absolute trash as well. But I'm just trying to think, like, the last couple of Amazon shows I watched, The Boys, which is like my favourite comic. That is probably my favourite comic book adaptation ever. Like, The Boys is amazing. It's probably the best superhero thing I've ever seen. And I feel like you sort of need that after our Marvel sort of fatigue. And The Expanse, I've been thoroughly enjoying that. I've watched all of that. I love The Expanse as well, man. I really get into my sci-fi. Speaking of that, I've never done a Stellaris series on the channel. Maybe I should play that Paradox game at some point, because I do quite enjoy it. I might seem to be a little bit old school, but I'm more of a Trekkie than I am anything like compared to Star Wars. I think I enjoy Star Trek more so than Star Wars. I think naturally pushing him up that way is probably the play. The High King, who rules all of it, can have his final resting place. He spend his final days in the capital of Osgiliath, being overlooked by the city of Minas Tirith. So our swordsmen are doing well here. We're just trying to skirmish it out. Now that there's a hole in the gate, we should be able to push in. My additional reinforcements are in attack formation, so they should be able to, slowly but surely, make their way around the battlefield and come in. But killing the enemy general is a huge advantage for us. We've made quick work of the reinforcing army. Or maybe that was it. Oh, maybe it's not as bad. Yeah, now I think about it, because that could have been the reinforcing general that I managed to somehow whack, you could say. Okay, so we've lost 1%, they've killed 23. My reinforcements are arriving, and they seem to be clustering here now and just trying to hold the way up. They did have a lot of skirmishes in this build, and they're hitting back with us with that. Yeah, so we managed to take and neutralize those catapults for our intensive purposes. They don't seem to be overly too much of a threat. My archers now are currently targeting theirs. Yeah, so we kill 1% within 24 quite quickly. Oh, my archers are now... my cavalry's out of ammunition. What I do fear is if they bring up any trolls or anything, because that's what we're really struggling with. Yeah, that's I feel like the wildmen, the hillmen, and the men of the mountain are all very much the same army build wise. They have some unique textures and small differences in that, but battle hardened, medium to heavy infantry, proficient with the spear and sword. The Numenoreans in hand-to-hand combat should be able to carve up the weaker tier axemen. But I guess it's realistic. From what I can remember in Vanilla Third Age, regardless of who you play as, you do tend to destroy the Dunlendings of just the Dunlendings of Dunland. Not Dunharrow, are they? The Dunlendings of Dunharrow, aren't they? Not, yeah. Dunling, yeah. The Dunlendings of Dunland. Quite quickly. I corrected myself there. Were there ever Dunlendings in Dunharrow? There was a king of Dunharrow. I don't think so. But now we are slowly but surely making our way up just a huge hill to the town square. But they seem to be skirmishing anything that's now coming up. Now I might have to skip this a bit because there's so many individual entities just trying to climb. We've got this. We're going to win. Looking at the resolve, it's 95% in my favour. It's only a matter of time before we take the city. It's just going to be a hell of a grind as we move our way up. It's even like lagging as well, because it's just loading all the unique armors and stuff. But we should be able to take the city momentarily. Okay, just thought I'd skip things ahead. 2 minutes and 30 seconds before we win. But we'll fight this one against the men of the mountain just outside Isengard. Whoa, that's a bit creepy. When Sauron, because we were fighting Mordor for quite some time, dealing with orcish raiding parties and whatnot. When Sauron officially came back, they didn't keep their oath, because we have destroyed Sauron at this period. I still think, yeah, so Mordor's still a faction. But yeah, we've taken Mordor and the Tower of Barad-dûr under our control. Their catapults seem to be quite wayward, which is good, just due to their trajectory on the hill. But our archers, both bowmen and elite, seem to be tearing up the enemy combatants. They're moving in some brigands there, which we need to keep an eye out on. Quickly, men, target those guys, because they're closing the distance quite quickly. If we could just get one decent volley... Nah, they're going to charge right into my decent-looking ranger units there. That's a shame. We're still under the reign of High King Elendil, which is crazy. He survived the entire series. We did somehow manage to get a Isildur killed, which is crack up. So the throne went to High King Elendil, but apparently he died at a young age. Didn't have the most successful career, apparently, according to one of you guys. I did ask that question. Oh yeah, so what happens? What does it mean that now Elendil is now king in this alternative timeline where Isildur doesn't take the One Ring, he just dies? He gets taken out by a barbarian army. Well, probably uneventful, because he never was much of a king, Elendil. Numenorean, though, the Conqueror of Mordor, I quite like the look of him. Also, he invokes one of the cooler high elf characters in Warhammer 2. Okay, so we're slowly but surely pushing up here. And it's just turning into a little bit of a grind. The mountain men are putting their lighter units there. My ballista and archers are quite helping us in support. Yeah, what a strange city. I thought this would have been a lot more harder to take. But we are progressing quite nicely into the town square now.
Half the enemy force remains.
So this is quite a build-up fort. I guess this territory and settlement was never really built up, because this is sort of like the Gap of Rohan, isn't it? I can't often remember it being overly too built up. We've had Helm's Deep for quite some time as well. Those units are now coming in quite quickly. Try and skirmish and turn where you can. We never had any dwarvish options in the glittering caves. Correct me if I'm wrong, there should be dwarfs there. Or maybe they haven't migrated their way down there. Or... yeah, because in Vanilla Third Age, playing as Rohan and DCI more so, if you upgrade the Glittering Caves as a dwarvish trading post, you do get access to some of their cool dwarvish units as Rohan, which is pretty cool. That's what I really do like about DCI. If you ally up and go through some chains and stuff, you can fight with unique and different army builds and stuff. Okay, so we've started the countdown. 4 minutes remaining. But we're making quick work of the Men of the Mountain. A bit of feedback, I would say, especially playing as the Numenorean kingdoms. In and around fighting the factions around us. Oh, enemy general, crikey, that scared me. We haven't really... yeah, we've just been absolutely decimating the sort of wildman barbarian populace. We are just so far technologically superior in both our armor and weapon acclimate. They really haven't posed too much of a challenge. They've just been bogging us down and wearing us in our numbers. So anyone from the DCI watching team, you might want to sort of buff them. But maybe it's sort of realistic. The Numenorean kingdoms came over from their... so yeah, the Numenorean kingdoms in exile came over with their superior stonework and stuff. Maybe they were able to sort of make quick work of this, forging out Gondor and Arnor. But yeah, the evil factions and main factions, what we've been really struggling against with. Oh, it would be interesting to see one-on-one how well we would do against like the elves, I guess. Well, unfortunately on that note, guys, it is time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching.